Welcome to StreamSemester.com's Teaching to the Test Pattern. Here is your host, Tom White. Really, that's all you want me to say? Nothing about the show? Just here's Tom? Conceited much?
Hey, buddy. Welcome to Teaching to the Test Pattern. I'm Tom White, and still in Albertville, still at the AV Teacher Boot Camp. Today is the last day. It's getaway day, so it's short sleeve shirts, shorts, getting ready to load out. And I'm joined by my new friend. Really excited to get to hang with you this week, Alex Jones. Alex, thank you so much for joining me.
Man, thanks for having me. It's been awesome this week.
So let's talk about this week first.
Okay.
What has surprised you the most?
Honestly, just like the collaboration between everybody, you know. There are a bunch of people that I have met this week that teach the exact same thing that I teach that I guarantee you that I will be reaching out to during the school year. Now, because like originally when I got here, the only people I kind of knew were Billy because we'd worked together. I knew Justin and I knew David. But like now, meeting Mark and meeting Abby and meeting Cammie and all of these other teachers who have these fantastic programs across the state of Alabama and just kind of picking their brains about what they do to kind of, you know, achieve the excellence that they have in their programs. I mean, it's been phenomenal. Just the networking part of it has been really, really good, especially because, like I said, I'm going to pick their brains throughout the school year and be like, how'd you do this or how'd you do that and everything. So that's been the best part of it, I think, to me.
One of my favorite parts of this event is a teacher like you, less than a calendar year in the classroom.
Yes.
And you're like, yeah, I'll present. Because for me, having done this a long time, I want your experience to be validated. And, you know, because you come into a conference like this and you've got people who've taught for 20 plus years and you're like, well, I just learned where the bathroom is. Like for me, backstory, I didn't know that there was a teacher bathroom for the first 6 months. So like when I found out, I was like, wait a minute, I can go and it's clean and there's no kids there. But, you know, and then someone asked me to present at a conference. I was like, well, what? I don't know what I'm doing. They're like, yeah, that's what we need. Like, we need a fresh look. So you talked about podcasting. So I was like, that's awesome.
It was fun too, man. And like I said, I think when Billy told me and asked me like, hey, do you want to present? And I was like, sure. I think the biggest thing I thought about was it's great practice for me. It's not just like, I'm giving tools that I think are necessary, I think will be helpful for other teachers and everything, but it's also a good way to practice talking in front of your kids, you know what I mean? Like what we do is, I think aside from Cammie, like all of us teach high school. So like eventually you're going to have to give a lecture sometimes. And I'm a big believer in perfect practice makes perfect. So like the more you perfectly practice stuff, the better that you get at it. And that also includes talking to people who are just like you and talking to people who are doing the exact same things that you're doing. Public speaking is an art that you do have to practice. And no matter if you're talking to 14-year-olds or 44-year-olds, you need to be able to do it enough to where you can do it well.
It's so funny. It's funny because knowing your backstory, and we'll get into that in a minute. But knowing your backstory and hearing that becoming a teacher kind of affected your confidence is an odd, you know, because I know, and we'll get into that, but it's odd. Like it is very interesting. And I think back about my teaching journey, and I do remember like first day of school, the bell would ring, and these kids would come down the hall, and I was like super nervous, like first date nervous. And I was like, why am I? These are kids, but it does that. It really does, and it humbles you quickly.
Yeah, because I think for me, the biggest thing that I was so nervous about, especially in that first day of school, because it's like, realistically, you can have all of these tools and you can have all of these teaching methods and everything, but doing it is completely different, right? There's a difference between practicing football and playing in the actual game, right? So I remember for me, I had all of the things that I thought were necessary for like, this is what I'm going to do, like first day of school, and your class starts coming in and you have to read roll for the first time, and it's a completely different experience. You're just like, okay, like abort mission and everything. But I mean, like, there's nothing really I can say. We have all these things that prepare us for different scenarios and situations, right? And we do, and we have a lot of them, but like doing it is completely different from just like practicing it. And learning about it.
Yeah, and you can't prepare for it.
No.
You know, when you said that a moment ago, it's like the Mike Tyson quote, everybody's got a plan, do you get punched in the mouth?
Mm-hmm.
And that is literally some days every period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, all right, who's going to punch me in the mouth today? And you know, after a little bit, you go, okay, well, this is, and you develop skills to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about your background. You have one of the most unique stories to getting into the video production classroom, and probably more experience. You've got 9 months in the classroom, but probably more experience in media production than any teacher that I've ever met.
Okay, so we're going back to like when I was a teenager and everything.
Yeah, let's go all the way back.
All right, so when I was 13 years old, I used to act on this Disney XD show called Kicking It. It was a martial arts show, built for kids and teens and everything. So I did that for 2 years. I lived in Los Angeles, California. Just acting and everything. So the acting background was something that I had early, and I used to just continue to do stuff after that. I did a couple of episodes of the CW show called Black Lightning when I was in college. But that's my introduction into getting into what is the media business, right? Fast forward to going to college, going to University of Alabama at Birmingham. I was a broadcast journalism major, and I interned at WBRC 6 News in Birmingham, where I was primarily shadowing the overnight producers and the photographers specifically for Sideline, for their high school football show. I started working there. I worked there for 7 years before I started teaching at Thompson High School, and I had like 18 different roles. I was the associate producer for the morning show at first. Then I was the weekend overnight producer. Then I was the guest booker for the morning show. Then I was the digital content producer for the night shows. Then I produced their dayside shows, the 4 o'clock news, and then I produced their high school football show. So that's my background when it comes to TV.
Well, you also have radio experience.
I do have radio experience, yes. I was also general manager of the radio station at UAB for 3 years, actually. So that was fun also. That was so doing that, and I also had a radio show with that as well. So we called it the DJ and Swole Show. It was an entertainment-based show, but that was my background as well too.
College radio was fun for me because when I was in college, I studied medicine. I was going to be an orthopedist, and one of my fraternity brothers came in and said, "Hey, the radio station's hiring." I was like, "Well, what are you doing?" He goes, "Well, you drive the van, you set up the tent, and you talk to people." I'm like, I can do that. Yeah. So by the time I became a senior, I dropped my major.
Oh, really?
I dropped it down to exercise science because then I only had to take I had to take senior seminar. I could get my degree and move on. Yeah. But I had to be a full-time student. Yeah. So second semester of my senior year, I took backpacking, fishing, kayaking, radio, and senior seminar. Yeah. And table tennis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which sounds awesome, but it sucked because
Really?
I was always in class.
Yeah.
Like I was always, when you're taking that load, I mean, you just think about an hour for every one of those, and it's like, or, Tuesday, Thursday, you got the hour and a half classes. Yeah. I was always in class. But it was funny because my radio class, I was already in radio. I was already doing radio, like full time. And it was interesting because when I got to the college campus, it was like, well, I can do whatever I want. Yeah. So one of my fraternity brothers and I on St. Patrick's Day played Whiskey in the Jar over and over for 2.5 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
And we talked about it. We thought it was hilarious because we talked about it like it was, hey, next song, we're really excited about this. It's Metallica's Whiskey in the Jar. And then we'd play a sweep. We'd go right back into it again, and we're like, that was Whiskey in the Jar. And it's so bad, but that experience was second to none. I still have some of my old tapes. Yeah. I found one the other day. I was like, I'm glad we don't have a cassette player because I would just be so mortified.
Honestly, the funny thing about doing college radio was it gives you so many opportunities, To be honest with you, when I was in high school, I never thought I was going to go to UAB. I didn't. You could not have convinced me at the end of my junior year of college, you could not have convinced me that I was going to anywhere besides the University of Georgia. I honestly thought I was going to go to UGA and I was going to be a history major. I really did. So this was a completely different pivot for me. And then, I started talking to recruiters at UAB, and they were like, if you're ever interested, we have this thing in communications. I was like, okay, cool. And then they mentioned the radio station. I was like, okay. So And I mean, that was like the first thing I did when I got to campus was try to figure out how to be a part of the radio station. Wow. And I mean, it was just a big part of my life. We got to just, I think the best thing about being working for like a radio station in college is you get so many opportunities that you don't think are like that. Not many people get to do, you know what I mean? UAB used to have this thing every year where they used to bring big artists to like welcome students back to school. So I used to interview the artists when they came in. So B.O.B. came my sophomore year, Kid Cudi, and I ended up learning how to DJ because I was working at the radio station. I ended up DJing like the pre-concert before Khalid.
Wow.
Like it was that, like opportunities like that, you just don't get it everywhere. And I thought, it was pretty amazing that I got it at a college radio station.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the radio lifestyle is, especially when you're on the inside, is so different than most people think. Like,
Man.
And it's funny now, my personal children are 17 and 19. Mm-hmm. And my son has found this love for like 90s and early 2000s rock, which was when I was in radio.
Okay.
And he's like, Dad, have you ever heard of like, yeah, bro.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
I've heard of Tool. It's like, because he's on a Tool kick right now. And it's interesting because as I go back and like you said, the opportunities, like the artists that I just drove around town, I couldn't name them all if I had to, but it was like, yeah, I mean, I had Jonathan Davis from Korn in my passenger seat with his kid and his father-in-law, and we're just driving through Atlanta going to a football game, like things like that. And that is what, radio and TV and media in general, like availability breeds opportunity. And if I could ever get my students when I was in the classroom to understand that, like, just show up and you've won. Like if you're just there, and that was my radio career. Like I didn't have anything after I graduated, I was like, well, I'm part-time. I'm not going to go get another job. So I just go hang out at the radio station. Next thing I know, I'm like, hey, you want to do an overnight shift? Sure. What station? The classic country station. Okay. Next thing you know, it's like, hey, the hot AC station needs somebody for Sunday night, midnight to 6. Okay. It's like, and opportunity, those things are very key. And at a college radio station, especially in Birmingham, you could do a lot of really good stuff.
Oh, yeah. That was the best thing is we got to do a lot of really good stuff. And then, like, I think with radio compared to, news and everything, you get to have a lot more fun with it and everything. I remember every year on April Fool's Day, me and my co-host used to play all the popular songs because we were like a pop, hip-hop based radio show. But we used to only play Kids Bop versions of songs, like, the troll people.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. You can't really do in, news and everything. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I mean, we had the stupid stuff we did. Like, we had people live in our van at the radio station for like a week.
Really?
For WrestleMania tickets.
Oh.
Not even WrestleMania. I think it was just like Raw. Like, it wasn't even like it was just Raw. And they lived in the van, and like, we basically tortured them for a week so they could get $50 tickets. It was like things like that. Like, we got in trouble with the FAA one time.
Wait, how did you do that?
So, Valentine's Day stunt. We were at a bar, and the idea was love is in the air.
Oh, no.
So, giant car lot balloon filled with helium with a love doll attached to it, and she had prizes. And at 6 o'clock, we cut the cord. It sent her on her way.
Oh, no.
Not thinking, we're right in the flight path of Piedmont Triad Airport.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting, but we survived. I don't think the station got into any trouble. It was just one of those where it's like, yeah, you probably should have thought about that before.
Yeah.
So, that was during the time of like Howard Stern and the Janet Jackson thing. So it was like everybody was watching radio, and we danced that dance as much as we could there for a while.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your time in the classroom this year.
Okay. Yeah.
So what's something you learned? What's the biggest lesson you learned in the classroom this year?
Your kids will resonate to anything you learn as long as you show them that you care.
Okay.
That's first thing that they need to know as soon as you walk in the classroom is that they need to know that you care. You know, I have had conversations about a lot of different things in my classroom when it comes to broadcasting news and all of these different things. But what I think teachers need to realize, and what I kind of quickly learned, is that from 7:50 to 3:10, you are an authority figure to those kids when they're not at home. And if you show them that you care about them, they're more apt to listen to you, because they want you to be proud and they want to not disappoint you and everything, right? The first thing I did when I started the school year is every class I had them do an about me presentation. You know, and I know high schoolers and everything, but I need to learn more about you, because if I learn more about you, then I can teach you a little bit better, right? And they put stuff in there about like their favorite artists and their favorite sports and their favorite things, right? And I took heed to that, because it's like in November when we're talking about, hey, I need you to get this grade on this test. He's like, Mr. Jones, what do I get if I get this grade on your test? I was like, you like garlic parm chicken wings? I got you on some garlic parm chicken wings. But just remembering stuff like that makes them want to be like, oh, okay, he actually listened to me. I need to actually lock in on this project and lock in on this test. That was the first thing I learned. Like, I think the biggest thing for me this year was that I don't look at this as a job anymore, if that makes any sense. It's not like I just fill this position and everything. I look at this as like, these are my kids. It is my responsibility to care for them while also teaching them the things that they need to know in this class and the curriculum that they need to know. But it's my job to care for them first. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a big deal. And in the successful teachers and the successful programs, that's what you see, you know, and remembering things about the kids. And this is a life hack that I just have in general, like, I try to remember one thing about everybody that I meet, and I try to not make it the thing they expect. So, like, for you, it'd be like, oh, well, you're a teacher, da-da-da. And I'm like, no, he was in radio. And so I try to find that thing where it's like, oh, yeah, you know, and I did that with the kids, and it would freak them out. Yeah. They're like, oh, what? And I'm like, yeah, I know you play soccer. That's cool, but you also like this thing. And I can narrow in, because soccer's so broad. I can narrow, and everybody knows, you wear a jersey, everybody knows that. I want you to know that I care enough to know that you're a left-handed beekeeper or whatever, you know, and it really, it drives that relationship home. And I think a lot of times as teachers, and it took me a long time to develop that, a lot of times what happens is their name on a roster, I build kind of a relationship with them. It's more transactional, like, they're a good kid, I want to be a good teacher, versus like, my job is to be an inspiration to them. My job is to be a positive male role model to this person who may not have that. Right. Or, you know, to kind of be another shoulder to cry on. I mean, there's so many kids who need adults. Right. And often we forget that. You know, as adults, we forget that kids need an adult. They need somebody they can trust. And it's so awesome that in your first year, you're like, I got this. I got that one thing.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, I mean, for us, I think it was hard because, like, we built a bond. I built like a closeness with my kids off of something tragic, you know, and like, I'm glad I built it, and I hate that was the way that they started to gravitate a little bit more to me. But I remember having a conversation the last week of school this year, and I was talking to a couple of my kids about next year. A couple of my kids who are going to take broadcasting again next year, and they're going to be the ones I said, you're going to be leaders in this class next year and everything. And it's so funny because I told them how fantastic that they were at anchoring and how much I witnessed them get better. And I talked to one kid about her package and how amazing it was and everything. And they both kept telling me, like, no, Mr. Jones, it wasn't that good. And it wasn't like, no, I don't, you're asking me to be a leader next year in this class. And he's just like, I don't think I can do it. I don't know if I'm good enough to do all of these different things. And I told them, I almost kind of fussed at him a little bit. But
Good.
I literally said, if you don't learn anything in my class, the one thing you are going to leave here when you graduate with is you are going to say that Mr. Jones made me believe in myself.
Yeah.
Period. Like, learning what a SOT is and a VO is and how to cut a package is great, and you need to know all that, but at the same time, it does nothing if you don't believe that you can do it. And that's the first thing. If I can get that first thing taken care of, I got everything else easily. But I need you to believe in yourself, and I'm going to make sure that I can't let you walk in here and be down on yourself. That's not me saying I'm not going to give you criticism and everything, but you're going to, if I give you criticism, it's because I know that you can be better, and I know that better work is inside of you. And so, like, making them believe in themselves and building that connection with each other, like, I think that's probably the most important part of teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's one of those things that gets overlooked because, for us, we love media. We love the industry. We are people that if they watch the news with us, they get mad because we're yelling at it. My wife hates watching the news because I yell at it like most people yell at their football teams. I'm like, why did you use that? And that's awesome. And ultimately, I think that in CTE, the goal is to prepare the next crop of industry professionals. But we have to understand that if every year you had 3 kids go into your industry out of high school or after their college stint or whatever, the industry will resurrect a monument to you. Like, they're going to put a statue of you up. But of the 100 and however many kids you have that you impact every year, all of them have to be adults.
Right.
All of them have to be positive people who are contributing to society. And I think that instilling that faith in themselves, instilling that work ethic, being able to take criticism. Billy and I were just talking about that downstairs about, the different cultures and how you have to handle, different cultures differently because some have never received criticism and others it's like, oh yeah, you can't break me. It's like, so that's super awesome to hear that, in your short time, you're like, okay, I got this. Yeah. We're going to be real people and we're going to give you good, solid feedback. Yeah. What is something that you're proud of from your program this year?
Something that I'm proud of. I'm proud of a lot of different things, honestly. I'm proud of the thing that I'm proud of them the most about, because there was a bunch of things that they did that I was just like, man, that was really good. I kind of want to say their first show, not because like their first show was kind of just, you know what I mean? My advanced class, they did their first show, and I assigned roles to everybody, and a bunch of different things happened that weren't necessarily like that. If we were in a newscast, like, you'd be like, okay, what's going on, right? But as we were talking about this week, is like we look at stuff as professionals while realistically we're teaching kids, right? I think the reason I was so proud of them about that first show is because they weren't happy with it. I think, like, my producer who produced that show looked back at it and she was like, I'm ticked. Like, she was upset, right? She literally, like, walked out of there, like, upset about the quality of the project. Once I honestly was like, yeah, it should be better, right? But this is the first one. I'm giving y'all a little bit of grace. And she was not happy about it. And so were a bunch of people in that room who were not happy about the way that the product looked on air. They weren't happy about it. So, of course, what do you do after that? You move forward and you work on the corrections to make the show better and better each time. And I think that's what's so beautiful about it is at a certain point when you instill, like, this is my expectation and this is what I want. And once again, knowing that I care about you, you want it to look good for not just the class and not for the school, but you want me to think it's a good job as well. At a certain point, I don't have to teach you necessarily this is what went wrong. You already know what went wrong. So I was really, really proud of that because I expected that to happen later in the year. I did not expect it to happen after the first show.
Wow.
So I was really, really proud of that. So
cool. One more, and then we'll head downstairs and get our learn on a little bit. Okay. What's something you're looking forward to this year?
can I use a sports analogy?
Absolutely.
All right. So if you are like a new coach in like college football, right? And you're coming into a program your first year, like you're still trying to figure out what the culture of everything is, and you're trying to figure out like who your students are and how they learn, and like that's the biggest thing about like coaching your first year is you're trying to get to know these people first. But then your second year is like, all right, now this is my program. Mm-hmm. I feel like my first year, I was just trying so hard. Like, with first year teachers, a lot of it's survival. And trying to figure out what is the culture of things here, how do you guys do things differently, how to put in grades, how to take roll, how to make field trips, and all this stuff. Now that I know all of that and I can kind of just put my own imprint on things that I think they should know, I'm really, really excited about that. I'm excited about all of the students that I have next year because they know me now and they know what my expectations are, but they also know that I genuinely care about who they are as people. And I'm excited to see how they grow next year. We're entering more competitions next year. We've got new equipment. I'm really excited just to see what this year entails. I honestly can't wait for it.
Good.
It's gonna be awesome.
Very good. So where can people see the work of Thompson High School?
They can go to Thompson High School TV on YouTube, THS TV. We are actually in the process of creating a new YouTube page. But yeah, they can go to Thompson High School TV. We've got a couple of our newscasts from last year out there. One of my first intro classes, they decided they wanted to do a game show for their final project, so that's out there as well. We've got a bunch of different things out there, right? And I know that YouTube page is going to be filled with just a bunch of stuff next year, and I can't wait. And
if you ever get a chance to go through Thompson, check out it's the most beautiful campus. And the real cheat code is to drive up to the board office and go around the back to the parking lot that's a dead end and just kind of overlook everything.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's so funny because, like, I have been there almost 1 year, and I don't think I've seen half of the school yet.
Oh, I can see that.
It's huge. It's so big, but we make jokes and call it Thompson University.
Yep.
It's huge, but it's an amazing school district with some amazing people. So if you ever decide to come down to Alabaster, Alabama, come say hey to me.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Oh, wait. You need an outro too? Let me guess. Thank you for watching Teaching to the Test Pattern, a stream semester production. I'm done. Call my agents and tell them never again.